If you're trying to keep track of Dino Oberto this week, don't, because it's going to get crazy. I know you're here now. After that, I don't want to know. He's going to be in between the Pocono Raceway, running around through local tracks. It's a big week for him. It's a big week for racing fans in our area. Dino, thank you for coming back. Okay, let's start with the local scene a little bit, Dino. I wanted to ask you about this. Evergreen, August 19th, as their 4th enduro race of the season, and there's a Soccer Mom minivan enduro coming up. Have you covered something like this before? Is this part of it? Was this popular the first time they did it?
You know, first of all, the enduros are really, they've taken off at that track. Jason Makarevich, who was the promoter there, does a terrific job of getting the word out of what that deal is all about. So enduro racing, it's just basically get out there with a street car, put some sort of safety regime into it, safety bars and what have you, and you go out there and you just have a blast. Now, some guys really know what they're doing. They're racing for the money, they're racing for points, they do have titles. So they've taken this to another step. You know, what else can we do to make this interesting? They've gotten these minivans now out there. I did see one of them a few months ago, early on in the season. They had a couple of them show up. As a matter of fact, they took passengers with them. It was pretty cool. They're beeping the horn, and people are waving at them. They're waving back. So, you know, the Soccer Mom minivan enduro is what they're calling it. It should be interesting. It's fun. It's really what it comes down to. It's a fun deal.
Well, that's a fun week, and I had fun reading 2 of your recent articles in the Standard Speaker, Dino, about local drivers who are approaching 100 wins on asphalt, and that's a big deal around here.
That is a big deal around here. You know, you think about all the drivers that we have seen come through the ranks around here over the years. Richie Jensen, he's hit that mark. I know the Hirschmans, they've raced here locally at Evergreen before they got onto the big scene running on the tours. This is where they hit their mark, and several others. You saw us mention about Ross Perchak. This guy is approaching 200 wins. He does it in a micro sprint, but it's been a long time since we've seen 2 drivers, not one, but now 2 drivers that are right there ready to hit the 100 win mark, and that's really a great milestone. Eric Beers and Brian DeFebo, and these guys, they are the absolute kingpins of their of what they do, and they've won the last 2 events here in a row down at Mahoning Valley Speedway, but they still do race. Brian does come back up to Mahoning Valley, or excuse me, to Evergreen, and they have 2 big modified races coming up in August, so I think it's a really cool deal. It's a great time for local asphalt short track fans to be a part of something this big.
You know, you had a lot of numbers in your column all about this, but what stood out to me was 3 decades. You said they've both been doing this, and they've been around for a while.
They have been. Eric Beers began his career in 1986 at Dorney Park Speedway. I don't know how many people watching right now knew that Dorney Park had a racetrack, but it actually went back to the 1930s and ran through 1986. It was just a 1/5 of a mile paperclip type racetrack. That racetrack is actually the pinnacle of what we do here locally between Mahoning Valley, Evergreen, as terms of asphalt racing. All the drivers, actually, that is where they got their mark started. That closed in 1986. Mahoning Valley reopened in 1987. Evergreen had reopened then in 1988, but all those drivers needed an outlet. They needed an avenue to go to, and obviously Mahoning and Evergreen was where it's at for them. But where did it all start? It started there, and that's where Eric Beers began his career. A couple of years later, Brian DeFebo in a thriller car got started down at Evergreen Raceway. Those boys have been going ever since, and they do a good job.